back to the Mindset Mastery Podcast. I'm Ryan, and with me is my amazing co-host, Olivia. She's a mindset coach who has helped thousands of people become more resilient, more confident, and more disciplined. Olivia, how are you feeling today?
Feeling great, Ryan. And of course, Ryan here is a peak performance coach, helping people push past their limits every single day. Together, we're here to help you master your mindset and build the mental toughness you need to succeed in life.
And let me tell you, today's episode is big. We're talking about something that separates winners from quitters, something that determines whether you'll bounce back from failure or let life break you.
That's right. We're talking about mental toughness. Why some people thrive under pressure while others crack. Why some push through adversity and come out stronger while others give up.
And most importantly, we're going to teach you exactly how to develop mental toughness so that no matter what challenges come your way, you'll be unstoppable.
So grab a coffee, get comfortable, and let's dive in.
All right, before we get into how to build mental toughness, let's define it properly. Olivia, when you think of mental toughness, what comes to mind?
Mental toughness is the ability to stay focused, stay disciplined, and keep going, no matter how tough things get. It's about controlling your emotions, making the right decisions under pressure, and refusing to let setbacks define you. It's about resilience, grit, and persistence when everything in you wants to quit.
Exactly, and here's the thing. Most people think mental toughness is just about being fearless, but that's not true. Even the strongest, most successful people feel fear, doubt, and stress. The difference? They don't let those emotions control them. They acknowledge them, but they push forward anyway.
That's such a great point. Think about it. How often do people quit because something feels too hard? Whether it's their fitness goals, a tough project at work, or even relationships, they give up because they don't know how to push through discomfort. They assume that struggle means they aren't good enough or that it's just not meant to be.
Yeah, and it's easy to fall into that mindset. Society almost teaches us to avoid discomfort. We hear things like, if it's too hard, maybe it's not for you. But the truth is, struggle is part of growth. Think about elite athletes. They don't win championships because everything comes easy. They win because they've trained themselves to push past the pain, the fatigue, and the doubt. That's what separates the greats from the average.
And it's not just athletes. Look at entrepreneurs, artists, or anyone who's accomplished something great. They've all faced obstacles. They've all had moments where things felt impossible. But instead of giving up, they developed the mental toughness to keep going. I mean, imagine if someone like Elon Musk had quit after his first failed business, or if J.K. Rowling gave up after her first rejection letter. The world would be missing out on some pretty incredible things.
Exactly. I actually love the story of Michael Jordan. Everyone sees him as this basketball legend. But do you know he was cut from his high school basketball team? Most people would have taken that as a sign to quit. But instead, he used it as fuel. He trained harder, worked on his weaknesses, and refused to accept failure. That's mental toughness, using failure as motivation instead of letting it break you.
That's a perfect example. And here's another one. Tom Brady. This guy was the 199th pick in the NFL draft. Think about that. 198 players were chosen before him. Most players would have been discouraged, maybe even accepted that they weren't meant to be great. But Brady? He used that as motivation. He outworked everyone, developed an unshakable mindset, and went on to become the greatest quarterback of all time.
And it's not just famous people. It's in everyday life too. How many times have you seen someone start a fitness journey and quit after 2 weeks because they weren't seeing results? Or someone who starts a business but gives up after their first failure? The people who succeed in anything, whether it's sports, business, or life, are the ones who push through when things get hard.
And that's the key difference. Some people see obstacles and quit. Others see obstacles and say, all right, how do I get past this? That's mental toughness in action. It's not about never feeling like quitting. It's about refusing to quit, even when it gets tough.
And that's why today's episode is so important. Because if you don't build mental toughness, You'll always be controlled by your emotions, external circumstances, or setbacks. But if you do, you become unstoppable. You develop the ability to face challenges head on, to push past discomfort, and to keep going, even when everything in you wants to quit.
And mental toughness isn't just about big, life-changing moments. It's about the small, everyday decisions. It's about getting up and working out even when you don't feel like it. It's about staying focused on your goals when distractions are everywhere. It's about not letting one bad day throw you completely off track.
That's huge. I think a lot of people think mental toughness is only for extreme situations, like running a marathon or training for the military. But really, it's for everyone. If you've ever had a moment where you wanted to give up, where your emotions told you to quit, but you kept going anyway, that's mental toughness in action. And the good news? It's something you can train. It's a skill you can develop.
Exactly. And for anyone listening right now who's thinking, well, I'm just not mentally tough, you're wrong. Mental toughness isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. And in today's episode, we're breaking down exactly how to do that.
So whether you're an athlete, an entrepreneur, a student, or just someone trying to get through life's daily challenges, this episode is for you. We're going to give you the tools to build unshakable mental toughness so you can handle whatever life throws your way.
And trust me, once you develop this skill, it changes everything. You stop making excuses, you stop giving up, and you start seeing what you're truly capable of. So let's get into it.
So now that we've defined mental toughness, let's talk about why so many people struggle with it. Because let's be real, if it were easy, everyone would be mentally tough, right?
Exactly. And the truth is, most people struggle because they're wired to avoid discomfort. Think about it. When something gets hard, our brains scream at us to stop. It's like a built-in survival mechanism. Your brain is designed to keep you safe, to conserve energy, and to steer you away from anything that feels like a threat. But the problem? Growth only happens in discomfort. If you always listen to that little voice telling you to quit when things get hard, you'll never get stronger, physically, mentally, or emotionally.
That's such an important point. And I think today's world makes it even worse. We live in a society that values instant gratification, fast food, instant streaming, quick dopamine hits from social media. Everything is designed to be easy, convenient, and immediate. But mental toughness, that comes from pushing through the hard stuff, not avoiding it.
Right. Think about it. When was the last time you had to wait for something? Everything is on demand. You don't even have to wait for a meal to cook. You can have it delivered in 20 minutes. You don't have to wait for a TV show. You can binge the entire season in one night. We've been trained to expect things instantly. But real success, real strength, that takes time. That takes patience. And most people struggle with mental toughness because they aren't used to delaying gratification.
That's so true. And you see this play out everywhere. Look at fitness, for example. Someone starts working out, and after a week, they don't see results. So what happens? They quit. Why? Because they expect change to happen fast. But fitness, like anything worth achieving, is a long game. The people who succeed are the ones who keep showing up, even when they don't see immediate progress.
Exactly. And another big reason people struggle? They let their emotions control their actions. We've all been there. You wake up and think, I don't feel like working out today, so I'll skip it. Or, I feel discouraged, so I'll quit my goal. But mentally tough people don't make decisions based on how they feel in the moment. They make decisions based on their commitments.
Yes, and that's a huge shift. If you only take action when you feel motivated, you'll never be consistent. Think about elite athletes, successful entrepreneurs, or anyone who has achieved something great. Do you think they always feel like training, like grinding away at their craft? No way. But they do it anyway because they're committed to the bigger goal. They know that motivation is unreliable, but discipline, that's what builds success.
That's so true. I mean, Think about someone like David Goggins. This guy went from being overweight and out of shape to becoming a Navy SEAL and an ultra-endurance athlete. Do you think he felt like running 100-mile races? Do you think he felt like going through brutal military training? Of course not. But he didn't let his emotions decide for him. He made a commitment and he followed through, no matter how hard it got.
And that's what separates mentally tough people from everyone else. They push forward even when they don't feel like it, even when things are uncomfortable. And that's something anyone can develop. It's just about training yourself to act in spite of your emotions.
And that's where most people get stuck. They think mental toughness is just something you're born with. They assume, well, I'm just not disciplined like that. But that's not true. No one is born mentally tough. It's a skill. It's something you develop through daily habits and small decisions.
Exactly. And here's another big reason people struggle: fear of failure. Most people don't even try because they're afraid of failing. They're scared of looking stupid, of messing up, of not being good enough. So instead of pushing through and getting better, they avoid the challenge altogether.
And the irony? That fear of failure is actually what keeps them stuck. The only way to get better at something is to push through failure. Look at anyone who's successful. They've all failed, probably more times than they can count. But they didn't let failure define them. They used it as a learning experience, and they kept going.
Yeah, let's go back to the Michael Jordan example from earlier. He got cut from his high school basketball team. If he had let that failure stop him, he never would have become one of the greatest basketball players of all time. But instead, he trained harder. He used that failure as fuel. That's mental toughness, refusing to let failure stop you.
And it's not just in sports. It's in everything. How many people start a business but give up after their first failure? How many people want to write a book but stop after one rejection? The difference between those who succeed and those who don't? Mental toughness. The ability to keep going even when things don't go as planned.
And that's why today's conversation is so important. Because once you understand why most people struggle with mental toughness, you can start training yourself to overcome those challenges. You can stop letting emotions, fear, and discomfort control your life.
And the best part? Once you develop mental toughness, it spills over into every area of your life. You stop making excuses. You stop quitting when things get tough. And you start seeing real progress, whether that's in your career, your relationships, your fitness, or anything else.
Exactly. And that's what we're diving into next: how to actually build mental toughness. Because like we said earlier, it's not something you're born with. It's something you train. And in the next segment, we're going to give you the tools to start developing it today.
So if you're ready to stop letting discomfort and fear hold you back, keep listening. Because up next, we're breaking down the exact steps to build unstoppable mental toughness.
All right, now that we've talked about what mental toughness is and why most people struggle with it, let's get into the real question. How do you actually build mental toughness? Because here's the truth. No one is born mentally tough. It's a skill. And just like any skill, you can train it.
Exactly. And the good news? You don't need to be a Navy SEAL or an Olympic athlete to develop it. Mental toughness is built through small, everyday habits. It's in the way you handle discomfort, how you respond to setbacks, and the choices you make when no one is watching.
That's such a great point. And I think we should break this down into real, actionable steps. Things anyone listening can start doing today to strengthen their mindset.
Yes. So let's start with the first step. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. Mental toughness is all about your ability to push through discomfort. If you always take the easy way out, you'll never build resilience. So you have to start training yourself to sit with discomfort instead of running from it.
That's so true. And it can start small. It doesn't have to be anything extreme. It could be as simple as taking a cold shower, waking up earlier than you want to, or pushing yourself to do one more set at the gym when your body wants to quit. The goal is to prove to yourself that you can handle discomfort, and the more you do it, the stronger you get.
Yes. And let's talk about workouts for a second, because that's one of the best ways to build mental toughness. When you're working out and you hit that moment where your muscles are burning and you really want to stop, what do you do? If you quit the second things, get uncomfortable, that becomes a habit. But if you push through, if you tell yourself, no, I've got one more rep in me, that also becomes a habit. And that mindset transfers into every area of your life.
Exactly, and that brings us to the second step. Detach your actions from your emotions. One of the biggest reasons people fail at building mental toughness is that they let their feelings dictate their actions. They think, I don't feel like working out, so I won't. Or, I feel unmotivated, so I won't work on my goals today. But here's the thing. Mentally tough people don't let their emotions make decisions for them. They take action regardless of how they feel.
That's a game changer. I love the quote, discipline is doing what you said you were going to do long after the mood you set it in has left. And that's what mental toughness is. It's showing up even when you don't feel like it. Think about it. How many times have you skipped something important just because you weren't in the mood? That's exactly why people struggle with consistency.
Yeah, and that's why successful people separate their emotions from their commitments. Take someone like Jocko Willink, the former Navy SEAL. He wakes up at 4:30 a.m. every single day to work out. Do you think he always feels like getting up that early? No way, but he does it anyway because he's disciplined, and that's what builds true mental toughness.
That's such a great example. And another thing that helps with this? Developing a no excuses mentality. Because let's be real, most of the time our excuses are just a way of avoiding discomfort. I'm too tired. I don't have enough time. I'll start tomorrow. Mentally tough people don't make those excuses. They find a way to get it done no matter what.
Yes, and that brings us to the next step. Reframe failure as feedback. Because here's the truth. Failure is inevitable. You're going to fail. You're going to mess up. You're going to have setbacks. But what separates mentally tough people from everyone else is how they respond to failure.
Absolutely. Most people see failure as a sign to quit. They think, well, I guess I wasn't meant to do this. But mentally tough people see failure as a lesson. Instead of saying, I failed, they say, what can I learn from this? That shift in mindset changes everything.
Exactly. Look at someone like Thomas Edison. The guy failed thousands of times before he invented the light bulb. But he didn't see those failures as a reason to quit. He saw them as stepping stones to success. That's the kind of mindset you need to develop if you want to build mental toughness.
And this applies to literally everything in life. If you start a business and it doesn't work out, you didn't fail. You learned. If you get rejected for a job, you didn't fail. You got feedback. The only real failure is quitting. Everything else is just part of the process.
I love that. And the last key step, do hard things on purpose. If you want to build mental toughness, you have to intentionally put yourself in situations that challenge you. That's how you get stronger.
Yes. And this doesn't mean you have to do crazy, extreme things. It just means making a habit of pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. Take the stairs instead of the elevator. Wake up earlier than you want to. Speak up in meetings when you'd rather stay quiet. The more you do hard things on purpose, the more resilient you become.
That's such an important point. And I think the best way to sum this up is this. Mental toughness is just like a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it gets. The more you push through discomfort, the more resilient you become. And over time, it stops feeling so hard because you've built the habit of pushing through.
Exactly. And that's what we want people to take away from this episode. Mental toughness isn't just for athletes, CEOs, or special forces. It's for everyone. And the best part? You can start building it today. It's in the small decisions you make, the way you handle discomfort, and the way you show up for yourself every single day.
Yes. So for everyone listening, start training your mental toughness now. Pick one thing today that pushes you out of your comfort zone. Maybe it's doing an extra 5 minutes in your workout. Maybe it's working on your goal even though you don't feel like it. Whatever it is, prove to yourself that you can push through discomfort. Because once you do that, you become unstoppable.
And that's how you build the mindset that leads to success. So start today. Start small. And remember, mental toughness isn't something you're born with. It's something you build, one challenge at a time.
Boom! That's the mindset shift right there. And in the next segment, we're going to talk about some of the biggest myths about mental toughness and why everything you think you know might be wrong.
Oh, this is going to be a good one. Let's get into it.
All right, now that we've talked about how to build mental toughness, let's tackle something just as important, the biggest myths about mental toughness, because honestly, there's a lot of misinformation out there that holds people back.
Yes, people have all these ideas about what mental toughness is, and a lot of them are just wrong. And if you believe these myths, you might actually be hurting your ability to develop true mental toughness.
Exactly, so let's bust some of these myths wide open. Myth number one, and this is a big one, mentally tough people don't feel fear, doubt, or stress.
Oh my gosh, I love this one. Because it's so false. People think mental toughness means you never feel afraid, insecure, or overwhelmed. But that's not true at all. Even the strongest, most successful people experience those emotions. The difference? They don't let those emotions control them.
Exactly. Take someone like Serena Williams. Do you think she never feels nervous before a big match? Of course she does. But she doesn't let that fear stop her. She uses it to fuel her focus. Mental toughness isn't about never feeling fear, doubt, or stress. It's about pushing forward despite those feelings. Yes, which brings us to myth number two. Mental toughness is something you're born with.
This one drives me crazy because it stops so many people from even trying to develop mental toughness. People assume that either you have it or you don't, like it's some kind of genetic gift. But that's not true at all. Mental toughness is a skill. And just like any skill, it can be trained and improved.
Yes. Look at someone like David Goggins. This guy went from being overweight and struggling with self-doubt to becoming a Navy SEAL and one of the toughest endurance athletes in the world. He built his mental toughness through discipline and training. It wasn't something he was just born with.
Exactly. And if you ever catch yourself thinking, I'm just not a mentally tough person, stop that thought immediately. Because the truth is, mental toughness is something you develop. And anyone can do it.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to myth number three. Being mentally tough means you never take breaks or rest.
This one is so dangerous because it leads people to burnout. Some people think mental toughness is about grinding nonstop, never resting, never taking a break, never listening to your body. But in reality, the strongest people know when to rest.
Yes, and there's a huge difference between being mentally tough and being reckless. Rest and recovery aren't signs of weakness. They're actually signs of strength. If you never rest, you're going to crash and burn. The key is to be intentional about when you push hard and when you recover.
Exactly. Look at elite athletes. They train at insane levels, but they also prioritize sleep, recovery, and proper nutrition. Why? Because they know that if they don't, their performance will suffer. Mental toughness isn't about never resting. It's about knowing when to push and when to recover so you can come back even stronger.
Such an important point. All right, let's hit myth number four. If you're struggling, you're not mentally tough.
Oh, this one is so misleading. People think that if they're having a hard time, if they're struggling with motivation, dealing with setbacks, or feeling frustrated, it means they aren't mentally tough. But actually, struggling is part of the process.
Yes, struggle doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're growing. If you look at any successful person, I guarantee they've struggled at some point. They've doubted themselves. They've hit roadblocks. But what makes them mentally tough is that they kept going even when it was hard.
Exactly. And honestly, struggling is a good sign. It means you're pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone. So if you're struggling with something right now, don't take that as a sign that you should quit. Take it as a sign that you're growing.
That's such a powerful mindset shift. All right, let's hit our final myth. Myth number five, mentally tough people go at it alone.
Oh, wow. This one is huge. So many people think that mental toughness means you have to be completely independent, that you never ask for help, never rely on anyone, and just push through everything by yourself. But that couldn't be further from the truth.
Yes, some of the most mentally tough people in the world have strong support systems. They surround themselves with people who push them, challenge them, and keep them accountable. Asking for help doesn't make you weak. It makes you smart.
Exactly. Look at championship teams. Do you think elite athletes like LeBron James or Tom Brady succeed all on their own? No way. They have coaches, trainers, mentors, and teammates who help them grow. Mental toughness isn't about doing everything alone. It's about knowing when to lean on others for support.
Such an important point. So let's do a quick recap of the biggest myths we just busted. Mentally tough people don't feel fear, doubt, or stress. False. They do feel those things. They just don't let them control their actions. Mental toughness is something you're born with. Nope. It's a skill that can be developed by anyone. Being mentally tough means you never take breaks. Wrong. Rest and recovery are crucial for long-term success. If you're struggling, you're not mentally tough. Completely false. Struggle is actually part of building resilience. Mentally tough people go at it alone. Not true. The strongest people know when to seek help and build a strong support system.
And if you've ever believed any of these myths, don't worry, we've all been there. But now that you know the truth, you can start building real mental toughness based on facts, not false beliefs.
Exactly. And coming up next, we're going to break down real-life strategies you can start using today to strengthen your mental toughness and develop an unstoppable mindset.
Ooh, I can't wait for this one. If you're ready to take your mental toughness to the next level, stay tuned, because we're about to give you the ultimate game plan.
All right, we've talked about what mental toughness is, why people struggle with it, and busted some of the biggest myths. But now let's get into the real action steps. How do you actually train mental toughness? Because let's be honest, just knowing about it isn't enough. You have to build it, just like a muscle.
Yes, mental toughness isn't something that just happens. It's something you train every single day. And the best part? You don't need to be an athlete or a Navy SEAL to do it. Anyone can build mental toughness with the right strategies.
Exactly. So let's break down some real ways to develop an unshakable mindset. Strategy number 1, get comfortable with discomfort.
This is huge. Most people avoid discomfort at all costs. If something feels hard, they quit. But if you want to be mentally tough, you have to train yourself to embrace discomfort instead of running from it.
Yes. And the best way to do this? Start small. Push yourself in everyday situations. Take a cold shower. Wake up earlier than you want to. Do one more set at the gym when you feel like stopping. Every time you choose discomfort over ease, you're training your brain to handle hard things.
That's so good. And the key here is consistency. You don't have to do something extreme. Just regularly put yourself in situations where you push past your comfort zone. Over time, your threshold for discomfort grows. And suddenly, the things that once felt impossible feel normal.
Exactly. All right, strategy number 2, control your self-talk.
Oh, this one is so important. Most people don't even realize how negative their self-talk is. They say things like, I can't do this, or I'm not good enough. But here's the truth. Your brain believes what you tell it. If you constantly tell yourself you're weak, guess what? You'll act weak.
Yes. So one of the fastest ways to build mental toughness is to rewire your inner dialogue. When you catch yourself saying something negative, flip it. Instead of I can't do this, say I can do this and I will find a way. Instead of I'm too tired, say I have more in me. I just need to push through.
And if you really want to take this to the next level, start using power statements. Athletes do this all the time. They repeat things like, I am unstoppable, I don't quit, or I thrive under pressure. It might feel weird at first, but trust me, your brain listens.
Absolutely. All right, moving on to strategy number 3, build discipline, not motivation.
This is huge. People think mental toughness means always feeling motivated. But here's the truth. Mentally tough people don't rely on motivation at all. They rely on discipline.
Yes, motivation comes and goes. Some days you'll feel fired up, and some days you won't. But discipline? That's about doing what needs to be done no matter how you feel.
And the best way to build discipline? Create non-negotiables. Decide ahead of time what you're going to do and then stick to it. If you say, I work out every morning at 6 a.m., then that's what you do, whether you feel like it or not. The more you follow through on your commitments, the stronger your discipline becomes.
Exactly, and this leads us right into strategy number 4, develop emotional control.
This one is so underrated. People let their emotions dictate their actions all the time. They feel frustrated, so they quit. They feel tired, so they skip the gym. But mentally tough people don't let their emotions run the show. They manage them.
Yes, and one of the best ways to develop emotional control? Practice pausing before reacting. When you feel frustrated, anxious, or overwhelmed, take a deep breath and ask yourself, what's the best action I can take right now? Instead of reacting emotionally, respond intentionally.
That's such a good habit to build. And honestly, this applies to everything, from handling tough conversations to pushing through a workout. If you can learn to pause and control your reactions, you'll be way more resilient under pressure.
Absolutely. All right, final strategy, turn setbacks into fuel.
This one is everything. Because here's the truth. Failure is inevitable. You're going to face setbacks, rejections, and moments where things don't go as planned. But mentally tough people don't see failure as a stop sign. They see it as a lesson.
And that's exactly what mentally tough people do. They take every setback and ask, how can I learn from this? How can this make me stronger? Instead of letting failure break them, they use it to get better.
Such a powerful shift. All right, let's do a quick recap of the 5 strategies to train your mental toughness. Yourself daily in small ways to build resilience. Control your self-talk. Replace negative thoughts with empowering ones. Build discipline, not motivation. Stick to your commitments no matter how you feel. Develop emotional control. Pause before reacting and make intentional decisions. Turn setbacks into fuel. Use failures as opportunities to grow and improve. Olivia. And the best part? You don't have to be perfect at this. Just start practicing these strategies daily. And over time, your mental toughness will grow stronger and stronger.
Yes. And coming up next, we're going to talk about real-life examples of people who have built insane levels of mental toughness, so you can see exactly how these strategies play out in action. All right, now that we've covered how to train mental toughness, let's look at some real-life examples of people who have built insane resilience, because sometimes hearing stories of mental toughness can be just as powerful as learning the strategies.
Yes. And these aren't just famous athletes or billionaires. These are people from all walks of life who refuse to give up, even when the odds were stacked against them.
Exactly. Let's start with one of my favorite examples, David Goggins. If you don't know who he is, Goggins is a former Navy SEAL, ultra-endurance athlete, and one of the toughest guys on the planet. But what most people don't know is that he wasn't always this way.
Right. His story is wild. He grew up in an abusive household, struggled in school, and was overweight and depressed as a young adult. At one point, he was spraying cockroaches for a living and weighed nearly 300 pounds.
And here's where the mental toughness kicked in. He decided he was going to become a Navy SEAL, one of the toughest military training programs in the world. But there was a catch. He had only 3 months to lose over 100 pounds just to qualify.
Which sounds impossible, right? But instead of making excuses, he went to war with his own mind. He woke up at 4 a.m. every day, ran miles upon miles, pushed his body past its limits, and refused to give up. And guess what? He did it. He lost the weight, passed SEAL training after failing and restarting 3 times, and went on to become one of the toughest endurance athletes in the world.
That's the power of mental toughness. Goggins trained himself to be comfortable with suffering. He didn't just accept discomfort, he chased it. And that mindset is why he's been able to accomplish things that seem inhuman to most people.
And his whole philosophy is that we all have so much more in us than we think. He calls it the 40% rule, meaning when you feel like you're done, you're actually only at 40% of your potential. The key is pushing past that mental barrier.
That's such a powerful concept. All right, let's move to another example, J.K. Rowling.
Oh, this one's good. Everyone knows her as the billionaire author of Harry Potter, but what they don't know is the amount of rejection and hardship she faced before making it.
Yeah, before she became a global success, she was a single mom, broke, and struggling with depression. She wrote Harry Potter in coffee shops while taking care of her baby, and when she finally finished it, she sent it to publishers.
And every single one rejected her. 12 different publishers turned her down. Most people would have quit right there. But she didn't. She believed in her story and kept going. And finally, a small publisher took a chance on her. And the rest is history.
That's what mental toughness looks like in the real world. She had every reason to give up. She had no money, no support, and constant rejection. But she kept pushing forward. And because of that, she changed the literary world forever.
I love that so much. And here's another great one, Oprah Winfrey.
Oh yeah, Oprah's story is incredible. People see her now as one of the most influential and successful women in the world. But she came from nothing. She was born into poverty, faced abuse as a child, and was even told early in her career that she wasn't fit for television.
Can you imagine if she had believed that? If she had let those setbacks define her? But she didn't. She kept showing up, kept pushing forward, and turned every obstacle into fuel for her success. Now she's a billionaire and one of the most powerful voices in media.
And that's the common thread in all these stories. Every single one of these people had reasons to quit. They had setbacks, failures, rejection, pain. But instead of stopping, they kept going. That's what separates successful people from the ones who give up.
And it's not just about the big success stories. It's about everyday mental toughness. Think about the single mom working 2 jobs to provide for her kids, the student who fails a class but studies harder instead of dropping out, the entrepreneur who gets rejected over and over but refuses to give up. Mental toughness is everywhere.
Exactly. And the good news? You can develop it too. It's not just for special people. It's for anyone willing to train their mind and push through obstacles.
Yes. And coming up next, we're going to give you a challenge, something you can start doing right now to strengthen your mental toughness. Because remember, it's not enough to just hear this stuff. You have to apply it.
So get ready because we're about to push you out of your comfort zone. All right, now that we've talked about what mental toughness is, why most people struggle with it, and real-life examples of people who embody it, it's time for the most important part, putting it into action. Because knowledge without action is useless, right?
Exactly. You can listen to this episode, get inspired, and think, yeah, I want to be mentally tough. But if you don't actually do something to build it, nothing changes. So today, we're giving you a challenge, something you can start right now to level up your mental toughness.
And this challenge isn't just some motivational gimmick. It's designed to push you past your limits, to train your mind to be stronger when things get uncomfortable. So here's how it works. And to be clear, this doesn't have to be something crazy like running a marathon or doing 500 push-ups. It just has to be something that pushes you beyond what you'd normally do. Here are some examples.
Ace, wake up an hour earlier than usual, even when you really don't feel like it. Take a cold shower. Yes, it sucks, but that's the point. Do a workout when your brain is telling you to stay on the couch. Have that uncomfortable conversation you've been avoiding. Push through that extra rep at the gym instead of stopping when you feel tired. Commit to 0 social media distractions while working or studying. Say no to something that doesn't align with your goals, even if it's uncomfortable.
And here's the key. You have to stick to it, no matter what. No excuses. No, I'll do it tomorrow. That's how you train your brain to push through resistance instead of backing down when things get hard.
And let's be real. There will be moments when you don't feel like doing it. That's the whole point. Mental toughness is about doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it.
That's the real test. Will you listen to your emotions and take the easy way out? Or will you push through, build discipline, and prove to yourself that you're capable of more?
And the best part? Once you start building this habit, it spills over into every area of your life. You stop quitting when things get tough. You stop making excuses, and you start realizing that you're stronger than you think.
So here's the challenge. Commit to 7 days of discomfort, 7 days of pushing through when your brain is telling you to quit. And after those 7 days, we guarantee you'll feel a shift in your mindset.
And if you're listening right now, we want you to actually do this. Don't just think about it. Commit to it. And if you really want to stay accountable, DM us on social media or post about your challenge using the hashtag #Mental Toughness Challenge. Let's see who's really willing to put in the work.
That's it. No more excuses. No more waiting for the right moment. Mental toughness is built through action. So start today, push yourself, and let's see what you're capable of.
You got this. And trust me, once you develop this skill, your life will never be the same.
All right, that wraps up today's episode. If you found this valuable, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe for more ways to build an unstoppable mindset. Now go crush that challenge. All right, we've talked a lot about building mental toughness, pushing through discomfort, and staying disciplined. But let's be real. What happens when things actually go wrong? Because no matter how strong or prepared you are, setbacks are inevitable. Life will test you with challenges, failures, and unexpected obstacles.
Exactly. And honestly, this is where most people struggle the most. They hit a roadblock, and suddenly all their motivation disappears. They start questioning themselves, doubting their abilities, and sometimes they even quit altogether.
But here's the thing. Mentally tough people don't avoid setbacks. They don't crumble when things don't go as planned. Instead, they adapt, they learn, and they keep moving forward. And today, we're going to break down exactly how you can do that too.
So let's talk about the mindset shift you need to make when facing setbacks. Most people see failure as something negative, as a sign that they aren't good enough. But mentally tough people? They see failure as feedback, as a learning opportunity.
Yes, every successful person, whether it's an athlete, an entrepreneur, or an artist, has failed at some point. The difference is, they don't let failure define them. They use it as fuel. They analyze what went wrong, adjust their approach, and come back stronger.
And that leads us to step 1. Reframe your setbacks. Instead of seeing failure as proof that you should quit, start asking yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I use this to get better?
Right, because setbacks aren't the enemy. Giving up is. If you take every failure personally, you'll stay stuck. But if you see it as part of the process, you'll keep growing. But here's the truth. Wasting energy on things you can't control is pointless. Instead, mentally tough people shift their focus. They ask, what's the next best move I can make? They take action instead of making excuses.
So let's talk about the mindset shift you need to make when facing setbacks. Most people see failure as something negative, as a sign that they aren't good enough. But mentally tough people? They see failure as feedback, as a learning opportunity.
Yes, every successful person, whether it's an athlete, an entrepreneur, or an artist, has failed at some point. The difference is, they don't let failure define them. They use it as fuel. They analyze what went wrong, adjust their approach, and come back stronger.
And that leads us to step 1. Reframe your setbacks. Instead of seeing failure as proof that you should quit, start asking yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I use this to get better?
Right, because setbacks aren't the enemy, giving up is. If you take every failure personally, you'll stay stuck. But if you see it as part of the process, you'll keep growing.
Exactly. And that brings us to step 2. Focus on what you can control. One of the biggest mistakes people make when they hit a setback is getting stuck on things they can't change. They dwell on the past, complain about what went wrong, and waste energy feeling frustrated.
Or maybe you're building a business and your first launch flops. Most people would take that as a sign to quit. But a mentally tough person, they'd analyze why it didn't work, adjust their strategy, and try again. Because setbacks are only permanent if you let them be.
Yes. And that brings us to step 3. Keep showing up. This is where most people fail. They hit a roadblock, they feel discouraged, and they stop trying. But mentally tough people, they get back in the game even when it feels impossible.
And this is the real secret to mental toughness. It's not about never failing. It's about refusing to let failure stop you. It's about showing up even when you don't feel like it, even when you're doubting yourself, even when you don't see immediate results.
And that's the difference between people who succeed and people who stay stuck. Some people see obstacles and quit. Others see obstacles and say, all right, how do I get past this? That's mental toughness in action.
So if you take anything from this segment, let it be this. Reframe your setbacks, focus on what you can control, and keep showing up. If you do that, nothing will be able to break you.
Absolutely. Because setbacks aren't there to stop you. They're there to shape you. And the stronger your mindset, the more unstoppable you become.
All right, let's move into the next segment, where we'll talk about how to make mental toughness a lifelong habit. So now that we've talked about overcoming setbacks, let's dive into something just as important. How to make mental toughness a lifelong habit. Because let's be honest, it's easy to feel motivated for a day or a week. But the real challenge is staying mentally tough every single day, not just when things are going well.
Exactly. And I love this topic because mental toughness isn't something you build once and then you're done. It's like a muscle. You have to train it consistently, or else it fades. If you don't challenge yourself regularly, you'll slowly slip back into old habits of quitting when things get hard.
That's such a good point. And one of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking mental toughness is just for big moments, like pushing through a marathon or starting a business. But the truth is, it's built in the small daily decisions you make.
Yes. So let's break down some key ways to make mental toughness a permanent habit in your life. And the first one is embracing discomfort daily. If you want to be mentally tough, you can't wait until a crisis happens to start practicing. You need to choose discomfort on purpose every single day.
Exactly. Think of it like a workout. If you only train when you're forced to, you won't be strong. But if you intentionally push yourself by doing hard workouts, waking up early, challenging yourself in new ways, you build that resilience before you need it.
And this doesn't have to be extreme. It could be something as simple as taking a cold shower, doing an extra set at the gym when you feel like stopping, or even having a tough conversation you'd normally avoid. Small things add up.
I love that. And that brings us to the next habit, doing things even when you don't feel like it. One of the biggest differences between mentally tough people and everyone else is that they don't let their feelings dictate their actions.
Yes. Think about it. If you only worked out when you felt like it, if you only worked on your goals when you were motivated, how often would you actually follow through? Probably not that much.
Exactly. But mentally tough people, they show up no matter what. They don't ask, do I feel like doing this today? They ask, what needs to get done? And they do it. That consistency compounds over time, and that's what separates the best from the rest.
That's huge. And speaking of consistency, the next habit is developing a no excuses mindset. If you want to be mentally tough, you have to stop making excuses. Plain and simple.
100%. Because here's the reality. There will always be a reason to quit. You'll always be busy. You'll always be tired. There will always be distractions. But mentally tough people don't look for reasons to stop. They look for reasons to keep going.
And this is something you can start practicing right now. The next time you catch yourself making an excuse, stop and ask, is this really a valid reason? Or am I just looking for the easy way out? More often than not, You'll realize it's just your mind trying to avoid discomfort.
Yes, and another key to making mental toughness a lifelong habit is surrounding yourself with the right people. Because let's be real, your environment matters a lot. If you're constantly around negative, unmotivated people who complain and quit when things get hard, guess what? That mindset is going to rub off on you.
So true. But if you surround yourself with disciplined, motivated, mentally tough people, they're going to push you to level up. They won't let you make excuses. They'll challenge you, and that will help you stay strong even when you don't feel like it.
And this doesn't just mean the people in your life physically. It also includes the content you consume. If you're constantly watching negativity, scrolling through distractions, and filling your mind with nonsense, you're training yourself to be weaker, not stronger.
Yes. So be intentional. Listen to podcasts that inspire you. Read books that challenge your mindset. Follow people who push you to be better. Feed your brain with things that make you stronger, not weaker.
That's powerful. And the last habit we need to talk about is celebrating progress, not perfection. Because one of the biggest killers of mental toughness, expecting yourself to be perfect and then quitting when you fall short.
This is huge. If you expect perfection, you're always going to feel like you're failing. But if you focus on progress, on getting just a little bit better every day, you'll keep going. Even when you mess.
Exactly. Mentally tough people don't expect themselves to never fail. They expect themselves to keep improving, and that mindset is what helps them stay consistent over the long run.
So let's recap the key habits to making mental toughness a lifelong skill. Embrace discomfort daily. Push yourself in small ways so you're ready for bigger challenges. Do things even when you don't feel like it. Stop relying on motivation. Train yourself to take action no matter what. Develop a no excuses mindset. Stop looking for reasons to quit and start looking for ways to push through. Surround yourself with mentally tough people. Your environment shapes your mindset. Celebrate progress, not perfection. Focus on getting better, not being perfect.
If you commit to these habits, mental toughness won't just be something you try to build, it'll become who you are. And once that happens, there's nothing in life that can stop you.
Absolutely. And trust me, once you start applying these habits, you'll realize just how strong you actually are. So don't just listen to this episode. Start taking action today.
All right, we're heading into our final segment. Let's wrap this up and give everyone some final thoughts on becoming mentally unshakable. All right, we've talked about what mental toughness is, why most people struggle with it, how to build it, and how to apply it in your daily life. But now we're closing this episode with the most important part, how to become truly unshakable. How to make sure that no matter what life throws at you, you will not break.
And listen, if there's one thing I want you to take away from today, it's this. You are so much stronger than you think. You might not feel like it right now. You might be doubting yourself. Maybe you've failed before. Maybe you've quit things in the past. Maybe life has knocked you down so many times that you're wondering if you even have the strength to get back up. But hear me when I say this. You do. You have everything inside of you to keep going, to push harder, to fight for the life you want. The only thing standing in your way? Your mindset.
That's right. Because listen, every person you look up to, every successful person you admire, every champion, every leader, every warrior, you know what they all have in common? They didn't quit. It wasn't talent that got them there. It wasn't luck. It wasn't an easy road. It was their ability to keep moving forward even when everything in them wanted to stop. That's mental toughness. That's what separates people who win in life from those who don't.
And I know right now some of you are in a battle. Maybe it's your health. Maybe it's your career. Maybe it's your relationships. Maybe it's your own mind. And it feels like nothing is going your way. You're tired. You're frustrated. You're wondering if you're even capable of making it through. And I need you to hear this. This is your moment. This is where you either break or become unbreakable. This is where you decide whether you'll let life defeat you or if you'll rise up and fight back.
Because let me tell you something. The people who make it, they aren't the ones who had it easy. They're the ones who refused to give up, even when it was hard. Even when they felt like quitting. Even when life knocked them down. They got back up every single time. And that's what I want you to do. Get back up.
Yes. And from this day forward, I want you to make yourself a promise. You will not quit on yourself again. You will not let your emotions decide your future. You will not walk away from your goals just because they get hard. Because if you do, you'll always be stuck in the same place. But if you push through, if you refuse to quit, if you fight for what you want, you will become unstoppable.
And that's the secret. That's the formula. It's not magic. It's not motivation. It's not some secret shortcut. It's about making a decision every single day to show up, to push through, and to refuse to let life break you.
And I want you to start right now. No more waiting, no more excuses, no more I'll start tomorrow. I want you to make one decision today that will make you mentally tougher. It doesn't have to be huge. Maybe it's waking up earlier. Maybe it's getting in that workout. Maybe it's finally starting that project you've been putting off. Whatever it is, do it today. And then tomorrow, do it again. And the next day, again. Because that's how you build mental toughness. One choice at a time.
One more rep. One more step. One more time choosing discipline over comfort. One more time proving to yourself that you are not weak. You are not average. You are not someone who gives up. You are someone who fights. You are someone who gets stronger every single day. And if you commit to that, there is nothing in this world that can stop you.
And let me say this. If no one has told you today, we believe in you. We know you have what it takes. And if you apply what we talked about in this episode, I promise you, your life will never be the same again. You will start to see changes. You will start to become the person you were meant to be. But it all starts with you.
So here's what we need from you. If this episode spoke to you, take action. Don't just listen and go back to old habits. Do something with this. Push yourself harder. Stay committed longer. Be the person who refuses to quit no matter what.
And if this fired you up, if this hit home, do us a favor. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Post it on social media. Send it to a friend who's going through a tough time. Let's spread this message because the world needs more people who refuse to give up.
And of course, if you haven't already, hit that like, share, and subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Because we are just getting started, and we are bringing you everything you need to build a mindset that makes you unstoppable.
That's right. So thank you for being here with us today. Now go out there, apply this, and remember, you are stronger than you think. We'll see you next time. Let's get after it.
Importance of mental toughness. Mental toughness is one of the most crucial skills for success in any area of life, whether it's sports, business, personal growth, or overcoming challenges. Without it, people give up when things get tough, let emotions control their decisions, and struggle to achieve their goals. Developing mental toughness means check pushing through discomfort. Success isn't about avoiding struggles, it's about overcoming them. Mastering your emotions, not letting fear, doubt, or frustration dictate your actions. Staying committed, making decisions based on your goals, not temporary feelings. Overcoming failure, using setbacks as fuel instead of reasons to quit. Becoming unstoppable, training yourself to persist no matter what obstacles arise. The people who achieve great things, athletes, entrepreneurs, leaders, aren't the most talented. They're the ones who refuse to quit. That's what separates them from the rest. Summary of the episode, Segment 1. What is mental toughness? Mental toughness is about discipline, resilience, and pushing forward despite fear or failure. It's not about being fearless. It's about not letting fear control you. Segment 2. Why most people struggle with mental toughness. Most people quit because they seek comfort. Society encourages instant gratification, but real success comes from enduring discomfort and staying committed despite emotions. Segment 3. How to build mental toughness. Mental toughness is built through small daily decisions, choosing discipline over comfort, showing up even when you don't feel like it, and training yourself to embrace struggle instead of avoiding it. Segment 4. Applying mental toughness in daily life. Mental toughness isn't just for athletes, it's for everyone. Whether it's waking up early, hitting the gym, working on a goal, or handling stress at work, mental toughness helps in every part of life. Segment 5. The role of failure in mental toughness. Failure isn't a reason to quit, it's a lesson. The most successful people in the world have failed multiple times, but used it to grow instead of giving up. Segment 6. How to stay mentally tough. Under pressure. Handling stress and pressure is key. Training yourself to stay calm, control emotions, and focus on solutions instead of problems makes you mentally unshakable. Segment 7. The power of mindset in mental toughness. Your mindset determines your resilience. If you believe challenges are growth opportunities instead of roadblocks, you'll develop unstoppable mental strength. Segment 8. Overcoming setbacks. When things go wrong, most people quit, but setbacks are just part of the journey. The key is to analyze, adjust, and keep going, never letting failure define you. Segment 9. Your mental toughness. Blueprint success isn't about motivation. It's about habits. If you train yourself to push through discomfort daily, you build unshakable resilience over time. Segment 10. Becoming unshakable. The final message. At the end of the day, mental toughness is about making the decision not to quit. It's about refusing to let emotions, failures, or setbacks stop you. Every day, make choices that strengthen your resilience. Final words to the audience. You are stronger than you think. Never quit on yourself. Take action today. No more excuses. Like, share, and subscribe to spread this message.